So the first thing that I want to implement is a get user. So to get a user, let's go to the console to see what's going on here, explore table items. And as we can see, we have a user, hash, and some actual username, and it is the same for partition key and for sort key. So let's click here on query. Here, select tic-tac-toe-DB. We want to query on the table, not on the local secondary index that we created. And for partition key, write user username and sort key equal to, again, user username. Run it, and we can see that our database gives us only that one item with some additional data about that user. So the same thing we want to implement now with Python. So go to the code, and the first thing we must do is import Boto3. After that, we want to set up our DynamoDB client.
DynamoDB client is Boto3.client and pass DynamoDB. And we must know table name, which is tic-tac-toe-DB.
We want to create a function getUser, which accepts a username, and I will copy-paste it from here and then explain it. We want to use that DynamoDB client and query on some table name, and like we saw in the console, we want to query by partition key and sort key. Partition key should be some PK value, and sort key should be some SK value. In expression attribute values, we put both values. And the same goes for the sort key. Here we need to specify PK value and SK value. This is actually a string PK value, and how it looks is user username.
Instead of PK value and SK value, we can write user hashtag username.
Here we can have users and print our user. Great, let's test this Python file. Let's run. There is an error. DynamoDB client is not defined. It is DynamoDB client with an underscore DynamoDB client. Now we have information about our user. Of course, this is a list, and yeah, that's the thing I don't like, but we will fix it later. As you can see, we can grab the data for our user. But again, the thing I want to improve is not to use that query here. It is better to have an additional file, and in that file, we specify how to query by partition, key, and sort key. Let's start from scratch, and for that, I want to take the code from app. So go to the client. Still, we want to import Boto3. We want to have that info, but I would like to create a class called DBUWrapper, and that class on initialization will set up the table name. Self, table name will be table name. And we want to set DynamoDB client to Boto3.client DynamoDB. We don't want a function called getUser, and let's call it
query by partition key and sort key.
And of course, we need PK value and SK value. Everything else will be the same except for table name. We use self.tableName, and we don't need that strange syntax anymore. Just PK value and SK value. Beautiful. At the end, I want to create a DB client, which is the actual object of this class. So DBUWrapper, and again, we just passed table name, tic-tac-toe-DB. In our app.dot file, we don't need to import Boto3 here, but we want to import from client import DB to client. Then we can remove all of this. We want DB client and call query by partition key and sort key, and that partition key and sort key. We need to pass partition key value and sort key value.
Partition key will be user hashtag username, and the same for sort key.
Let's test this. A DynamoDB client is not defined in client PY line 10. Okay, yeah. Of course we don't want to use DynamoDB client directly because we don't have access to it. We have access to self.dynamodb client. Now let's test it again. Yep, that's it.